DreAllDay.com.
Body, Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Today we are talking about proving yourself to other people. I'm going to tell you here in this video that you don't have to prove shit to anyone other than yourself. These days, I mean, knowing all the technology we have, the connectivity that we all have, we can all see what other people are doing, we can broadcast what we're doing. Sometimes we may find ourselves, without even knowing it, not even being conscious of it, that we're doing a lot of the stuff that we're doing just because we are thinking about how other people are going to judge us. So I better do this because somebody's going to say something, or I should laugh at this because people are going to try to make jokes about me, or I shouldn't try this because if I don't do it, people are going to criticize me and talk about me. We do a lot of things to prove ourselves to other people because we know so many people can see us and broadcast us and talk about us or record us and take pictures of us, when what we really need to be doing is focusing on what we need to do for ourselves. And even though everyone understands that, most of us don't live our lives as if we know it. So I'm gonna give you 4 points. So I got 4 here. 4 points I'm gonna give you about not having to prove things to other people in life. Number one thing you must do is you must get rid of your fear of criticism. In Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, he laid out the 6 basic fears that human beings have. And back then, at the time of the Great Depression, the number one fear he laid out was the fear of poverty. People didn't want to lose their money because that's what was happening to people. And the next fear, number 2, was the fear of criticism. Being criticized by other people has been a fear of human beings since all the way back then in the 1930s. All right? And even way before that, being afraid of what other people would say about you, think about you, somebody might ridicule you. That fear controls people's actions more than you would even consider. And if you've ever found yourself choosing your actions based on what you thought other people would think of you, that's the fear of criticism getting in your way. You need to get over your fear of criticism. I have a course called 30 Days to Discipline and another one called Bulletproof Mindset that will help you do that. I also got a book called The Super You, which is all about building and unlocking. It's not even building, but unlocking your highest level of confidence and living with it. All about getting rid of that fear of criticism. Number 2, stop telling everybody your goals. Stop telling everybody what you're going to achieve, what you're trying to achieve, where you're trying to go, what you think you need to do. When you let other people know what it is you're trying to do or what you're going to do, you know what happens? People stop doing what they're doing and they start watching you just so they can come up with a reason to criticize you or something negative to say about you, or so they can just watch you, even if you do great, because that gives them something to do. So they don't have to think about their own lives as long as they can pay attention to yours. So stop telling people what you're going to do or what you're trying to do or what your goals are, because if that person's not going to help you actually achieve the goal or do something constructive to help you get there, what do they need to know for? I mean, what are they bringing to the table besides the fact that every time they see you, they could ask you, hey, how's it going on that goal? And when you going to start that business? Or did you make that team yet? What is that going to do to help you? That's not doing anything to help you. The people you may think maybe that could hold you accountable, listen, be held accountable by people who are actually doing stuff, not people who are watching stuff and talking about stuff. So that's number 2. Stop telling everybody your goals. Number 3, compete against yourself and not against what other people think you should do or what you think somebody else did or what you feel like you need to measure up to. As the saying goes, the only person you need to compete against is the person you were yesterday or last week or last year, or whatever your goal is. Where do you see yourself going? What type of person do you see yourself becoming? What actions do you need to take to go from where you are now to becoming that person? What actions do you need to take to go from where you're performing now, where your business is now, where you are in your sport now, to where you want to go in that area? What needs to change? Those are the only things you need to pay attention to, not what anybody else is doing or not what you think anybody else thinks you should be doing. And that leads us right into point number 4. Stop thinking that you need to do what other people say you're supposed to do. It's funny, you know, thinking about basketball. I'm 6 feet 4 inches tall, so I'm kind of right on the borderline of going from being, I could just be a regular guy. Let's say I've decided to be a doctor or a lawyer or a TV show host. At my height, not many people will come around me and be like, man, do you play basketball? Because I'm right at that height where it's kind of like, okay, you could be anything you want to be. When you get to about 6'5" and taller, that's when you get to the height. And if any of you is this height or you know anybody this height, you'll know what I'm talking about. When you get to that height or taller, I don't care what age you are, everybody you meet is going to be like, not everybody, but most of the people you're going to meet going to say, yo, you play basketball? Who you play basketball for? What sport do you play? Did you ever play basketball? Whenever you're that height, people just expect you to be a basketball player just because you're tall. And especially with men, I meet a lot of young men who I can tell just by watching them play basketball, watching how they are around the sport, that they don't even like basketball. But they're playing it because everybody in their neighborhood, everybody in their family, Every time they go to the mall, anytime somebody sees a picture of them, they're like, damn, you must be a basketball player. Oh, you that tall, you don't play basketball? If I was that height, man, I'd be doing this and this and this. People put these expectations on you that you're supposed to be a certain way just because of whatever they're thinking, whatever it is about you or about where you're from or whatever the situation. And it's not just basketball. I'm just using that as an example because I'm a basketball player. But you could be somebody could say you should be a musician because your mom was a musician, or you should start a business because your dad had a business, or you should do this because everybody in your family did that thing, or you should be like this because everybody in your neighborhood is this way. Stop living your life based on what you think or what other people tell you they think you are supposed to do. There is no supposed to in life. I get a lot of supposed to questions from people these days. Not these days, but all the time, especially on the internet. Hey, how am I supposed to do this thing? Or I need to change my jump shot because my friend said it's supposed to look different. Or I feel like I'm supposed to be further ahead in my business. Supposed to is the easiest way to make yourself feel terrible, because anytime you're saying it's supposed to, what you're doing is measuring where you are with where you think you should be, which is usually just some arbitrary goal that you made up. It's not based on anything, just something that you decided to have. I'm not telling you there's anything wrong with having goals, but when you have supposed tos, you're holding a bar up above your head that puts you in a position of feeling like, damn, I didn't achieve that, even though it's nothing that came from anywhere. Now, if you have a certain makeup where that can help drive you, that's great. But a lot of people's makeup, when that supposed to is so far above where they are, they start to use it to devalue themselves, make themselves feel worse, especially if it's coming from somebody other than you. Don't let any other person ever put a supposed to on you, because then you're going to find yourself living your whole life trying to prove something. Shut the hell up, bird, while I'm trying to record. You're going to find yourself trying to prove something to other people instead of proving things to yourself. So not having to prove shit to other people, those are the things that you need to do. I need to say those 4 points again. Number one, whip the fear of criticism. Stop worrying about what other people think of you. Number two, stop telling everybody your goals and what you're going to do. Just go and do it. Now, it doesn't matter if they know it or not. Just do it. They'll know about it after you do it. Number three, compete against yourself and not against what anybody else is doing or what anybody else thinks or what you think anybody else thinks. And number four, never ever allow another person to label a supposed to on you based on what's coming out of their brain. You get your own supposed to based on what you want to do with yourself, not what anybody else wants to do. You don't have to prove it to them. You need to prove things to yourself. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com.